Welcome. If you're like us, you want to get straight to the heart of things, understand how seemingly different ideas connect.
hmm
Today, we're tackling a really big concept. What might a potential New World Order actually look like?
And we're doing that by looking at two, well, seemingly very different areas, right?
Exactly. On one hand, we've got a fictional take excerpts from a novel called Trump's Dawn of Power.
Which imagines this future of consolidated power in the U.S.
Right. And on the other hand, we're looking at claims, specifically from Dr. Stephen Greer, about alleged suppression of some really advanced technology.
Yeah, based on some highlighted points we have. So sources from fiction and from, well, claims about hidden reality.
Our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to pull out the key insights from both. And importantly, see if there are any surprising connections or parallels between these views on global shifts.
Okay, so where should we start? Maybe with Dr. Greer's scenario.
Sounds good. Let's unpack his ideas first.
Hmm.
He puts forward this idea of a global organization. That's his term.
And this group, he claims, has been actively hiding breakthrough technologies for decades.
We're talking things like man-made UFOs, apparently, and something called zero-point energy.
The implication there is huge, isn't it? I mean, a hidden power structure that's controlling not just information flow, but actual technological progress.
Yeah, and it's not just about keeping cool gadgets secret. Greer talks about the potential for and the fear of what he calls catastrophic disclosure.
Okay, catastrophic disclosure. What does he mean by that exactly?
Hmm.
Is it catastrophic for them or for us?
Well, potentially for the existing systems. Imagine if zero-point energy, basically limitless clean power, suddenly became available.
Right, the established energy industry, oil, gas, coal.
Exactly. It could completely destabilize it. And not just the energy sector, but like all the finance and politics built around it.
You'd see massive shifts in global wealth, global power, almost overnight, potentially.
That's the idea. And Greer takes it further, asking, well, if that happened, would the U.S. as a constitutional entity even be as relevant?
So the traditional nation-state power structures might fade if this new tech paradigm emerges.
That seems to be the suggestion. Power might shift to whoever controls or perhaps releases these technologies.
So the manipulation here isn't like a military coup, it's more subtle, like controlling the pace of change.
Precisely. According to this view, by hiding these technologies, this alleged group is basically steering civilization's path, a long-term manipulation.
Okay, that's a heavy concept. Let's pivot now to the fictional side. Trump's dawn of power.
Yeah, this novel presents a very different kind of New World Order scenario. It's not about hidden tech, but about a really fast consolidation of power, economic and political.
Right, and it happens within the U.S., but with global implications.
The book describes this inauguration scene. It feels less like a presidency and more like, well, an emperor taking charge.
Yeah, the details are striking. The oath of office is rewritten.
Rewritten, and the Chief Justice resigns, reportedly calling Trump's return not a presidency, but taking a throne?
Wow. And there's mention of a new flag with something called Trump coin on it.
Yeah, tell us about that. What is Trump coin in this story?
It's introduced as this globally recognized digital currency. The potential impact there is, again, massive centralization, but this time it's economic power.
So one digital currency, accepted everywhere, controlled potentially by this new U.S. administration.
That's the picture painted. It could totally reshape global trade, finance. The novel even mentions the Federal Reserve's encryption keys being reassigned.
Okay, hold on. Reassigning the Fed's encryption keys. For those of us not in high finance, what's the significance of that, like practically?
Well, think of those keys as controlling the digital vault, right? Managing the nation's digital currency systems, securing transactions. Reassigning them implies taking direct control away from the, traditionally independent Federal Reserve.
And putting it where? Directly under the executive.
That seems to be the implication in the novel, a huge shift in control over the financial system itself.
Okay, so that's a major power grab on the economic front. And you said political consolidation too, the emperor comparison.
Exactly. The novel suggests a definite move away from established democratic norms, concentrating power in the leader.
And how does the rest of the world react in this story?
The book says the world watches, quote, stunned. Which makes sense, right? If the dominant global power transforms so drastically internally.
It's bound to cause huge ripples everywhere else, a major realignment of international relations.
Definitely.
So in this fictional case, the manipulation seems much more overt, much more visible than in the Greer scenario.
Oh, absolutely. rewriting oaths, seizing control of the central bank, the marketing optics, as the book might put it, of the flag and the coin. It's all right there on the surface, a deliberate reshaping.
Okay, so we have these two very different pictures of how things might shift dramatically.
Right, one technological and hidden, the other political, economic, and overt.
But if we step back and compare them, some common threads start to appear, don't they?
They really do.
Yeah.
I mean, the first obvious one is disruption. Both scenarios involve a massive shakeup of the existing order. The status quo is just gone.
Whether it's suppressed tech bursting forth or a political economic revolution, everything changes.
And second, there's a clear trend towards centralization of power in both.
Yeah, in Greer's case, it's this shadowy global organization. In the novel, it's power consolidating around a single leader and their government.
Different forms, same direction, more centralized control.
And the impact is global in both visions. These aren't small adjustments. They suggest transformations that reshape the whole world stage.
Absolutely. New power structures, new international dynamics.
And finally, that element of manipulation we talked about, it's present in both, just different flavors.
Right. Hidden control of tech and information versus open manipulation of political and economic levers.
So it's interesting, despite the different catalysts, hidden tech versus, bold political moves, both narratives seem to tap into real anxieties people have today.
Anxieties about what? Hidden forces? About big, sudden shifts in how the world works. Yeah, definitely.
They both resonate with that feeling that maybe things aren't quite what they seem or that big changes could be coming.
And that actually leads us nicely into digging a bit deeper into Dr. Greer's specific idea of catastrophic disclosure, drawing from another source text we looked at.
Okay, right. Because he elaborates on this.
Oh,
and
no.
it's not what you might first think. He argues the real catastrophic disclosure isn't about, little green men landing.
No, his point is that the truly disruptive disclosure would be admitting that advanced UFOs are actually man-made.
Built by humans. He names names, doesn't he? Like Lockheed Skunk Works, Northrop Grumman.
He does. And suggests Russia and China are probably involved too, maybe as part of some kind of global consortium.
And he mentions a whistleblower claiming these man-made craft are basically indistinguishable from what people might assume are genuine extraterrestrial vehicles.
Exactly. And the core of his argument is that keeping this secret, the existence of these advanced human-built craft and the technologies behind them, like zero-point energy, that's the real suppression.
And why suppress it? What's the motive, according to him?
Well, he argues it keeps beneficial technologies locked away, particularly energy tech. It maintains our dependence on the current energy system, oil, gas, etc.
A system he calls, what was the term? Pro-slavery.
Yeah, pro-slavery. It's a strong term.
What exactly does he mean by that? Pro-slavery.
Essentially, he seems to mean a system where the pursuit of profit, the pros, apart from existing, maybe harmful or inefficient, energy sources effectively enslaves humanity.
Enslaves how?
By denying access to potentially liberating technologies like clean, abundant energy. It keeps us dependent, limits potential, and maintains, centralized control through that energy dependence.
Okay. And who benefits most from this suppression, in his view?
The conventional energy industry, primarily. He points to the trillions of dollars in assets and trading tied up in that sector. A powerful incentive to maintain the status quo.
And to keep this all under wraps, he alleges there's active disinformation.
Yes, he claims tactics include things like showing officials faked, often disturbing, images or scenarios involving supposed NHI, non-human intelligence to create fear.
Fear to justify the secrecy.
Right. And he even suggests that some incidents people report as alien abductions might actually be carried out by human groups using advanced tech to mimic an alien encounter.
Wow. Okay, so this creates a lot of confusion.
Deliberate confusion, he argues. He describes it as three things going on. One, actual E.T. vehicles and beings. Two, these advanced man-made craft that look like E.T. craft. And three, maybe even extra-dimensional or interdimensional phenomena.
And the goal is to mix them all up.
To mix them all up so no one can sort out the truth, especially the truth about the man-made tech. Because if you deny the man-made craft exist,
then any weird thing people see must be alien, right?
that's the logic trap, he points out. It forces the conclusion that it's all non-human. And that, he warns, sets the stage perfectly for creating a narrative about an alien threat.
Like the old Werner von Braun warning about the final card being an alien invasion hoax.
Exactly that connection. Greer believes what's being framed now as potential disclosure, Gradual releases about UAPs isn't genuine.
He thinks it's manipulative.
He argues it's a managed piecemeal release designed to build up this false threat narrative,
Leading to
potentially a kind of fear-based global totalitarianism, unity against a manufactured enemy rather than liberation through shared advanced technology.
He also mentions politics getting involved, like an attempt during the Clinton years. Team Red.
Yeah, he alleges a group within the Clinton administration, which he calls Team Red, tried to penetrate these secret programs and faced significant pushback or negative consequences.
And what about now? There's bipartisan interest in Congress with UAPs.
He acknowledges that interest, but expresses concern that they might be getting bad advice that steers them towards that same false threat narrative.
It's complex. He brings up David Fravor, the Navy pilot.
Right, the pilot from the famous Nimitz encounter. Initially, Fravor thought it was likely alien tech.
But Greer says Fravor later had it confirmed it was actually a Lockheed craft.
That's the claim Greer highlights, yes, to show the level of deception potentially involved, making our own tech look otherworldly.
And Greer stresses this is urgent, because other countries might be close to revealing similar tech.
Yeah, he suggests the U.S. could lose its standing, become irrelevant, if other nations disclose advanced energy or propulsion tech first, while the U.S. is still stuck in denial or misdirection.
Bringing it back to that idea of U.S. relevance fading, he even warns a badly handled disclosure, one based on fear, could be worse than 9/11 or COVID.
He does. It's a stark warning about the potential consequences of getting this wrong. So this paints a picture of a possible new world order driven not by E.T.s, but by fighting a perceived E.T. threat, orchestrated through the manipulation of our own hidden technologies.
Okay, so that's a deep dive into that perspective. Now let's try to connect that back again to the fictional scenario in Trump's dawn of power.
Right, so we have two potential paths to a radically different world. The novel shows this overt consolidation of economic and political power Trump coined, the emperor-like presidency.
And Greer describes this covert control through hidden technology and information, potentially leading to a fear-based global unification.
They're very different mechanisms, aren't they? One is out in the open, almost performative power consolidation. The other is deep state, hidden hand, technological control.
Yet both seem to arrive at a similar place, a fundamentally transformed global landscape with highly centralized control, just achieved differently.
Precisely. Different roads, maybe, to a similar destination of a new world order.
So let's try to summarize the main takeaways here. We've looked at these two potential routes to a kind of new world order.
One rooted in claims about suppressed tech and information control.
And the other, imagined in fiction, driven by rapid political and economic consolidation.
And despite how different they seem on the surface, we found those common threads, didn't we?
Yeah. Both involve a massive disruption of the way things are now. Status quo goes out the window.
Both show a clear move towards more centralized power, whether it's a hidden group or a visible leader.
Both paint a picture of truly global transformation, changing how nations relate and how power works worldwide.
And both have that underlying theme of manipulation, controlling the narrative, controlling the levers of power, whether they're technological or sociopolitical.
It really feels like both perspectives, the fictional and the alleged real-world one, are tapping into some deep anxieties many people feel right now.
Yeah, anxieties about who's really in control, about hidden agendas, about the pace of change, about whether the world is shifting under our feet in ways we don't fully grasp.
Absolutely. They speak to that sense of uncertainty and the possibility of fundamental shifts in power.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. What forms could a new world order actually take?
Is it more likely to be driven by, say, control over revolutionary technology like Greer suggests?
Or perhaps by the kind of economic and political consolidation we see imagined in the novel? Or maybe some complex mix of both?
And really think about what the implications of each scenario might be for things like individual freedom, for national sovereignty, for how the world is governed.
Yeah, it definitely pushes you to think about concepts like technological suppression, what economic sovereignty even means anymore, and maybe the nature of truth itself in a world changing this fast. Lots to chew on.